Welcome to this very last video of the year. I hope you're doing amazing. I can feel my nose is a little bit running, so I still hope the audio is going to be okay. My name is Patricia. I'm a coach, a life coach, and what we are doing here is pretty simple. We help you to understand yourself better and to feel more into who you truly are, because that way you can actually explore way more and you can learn more about yourself and therefore create what you actually really want in your life. And we learned a lot of stuff that is not really useful for us, so we have to kind of unpack that, and sometimes that's really hard. And this channel is giving you a hand to really look into those little areas to start navigating through those things that may be difficult and you may need a help with. So if you haven't subscribed already, then please do so. Help this channel to find more people who need the support and need the help from me, okay? With this said, also give it a thumbs up, and I really want to encourage you to look into 2022. It has been a rough year, hasn't it? It's been quite heavy, but then also so many light and sparks. And I don't know, for you guys, you have to tell me how you felt. It's been a really, really crazy ride, right? I mean, the world obviously is going a little bit crazy right now, and so are we within, right? So when we are looking at where we stood in Jan 2022, it was so different to where you stand right now, where I stand right now, right? And I feel like we are not really appreciating that, and we kind of feel like, okay, let's get over with that, let's change and let's go in that direction. But you see, that usually doesn't really work that way, right? We have to actually really acknowledge what is right in front of us, and that is super uncomfortable. It's not something where you look at and you're like, yay! It's rather like, again? Do I really have to do this again? And it's kind of like, well, you can take turns if you want, but at one point you just have to do it if you want to grow out of something, right? You have to look into that. And you have to be grateful that those kind of lessons are here. And even lessons, I don't like that word that much, because it's kind of like, if you're not following, It's kind of like, I like sometimes to tell my clients that it's just a game. And if you want to go in the next level, you just gotta learn and grab your ticket to get there. And so, you cannot really go and have a big business if you don't understand the small stuff. Going big is great, but what if you don't understand the small stuff? You will have probably so much more problems, right? And so, sometimes we have to see it from a different angle. And that is quite, it's not always nice. You see? It's not always nice. But I really want to invite you to just celebrate where you stand. Just celebrate the fact that you're here. Celebrate the fact that you're celebrating. I mean, you're here right now. You're trying your very best. You're trying what you can to make yourself feel good. And so I don't see a reason why you shouldn't celebrate that. And today is the perfect day to do that. The perfect day to actually really tap into where you have gone through, what you have gone through, and tap a little bit into where you want to go and what is next for you. It's so helpful to write these things down and journal about it and go really into this, oh, I did that, huh? You know, the other day I was actually reading in my journal a few bullet points, and I started to see that how many things actually happened. And then I was like, oh, that happened, right. And because that happened, which really sucked, I then ended up here and here and here. And I'm like, ooh, pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. And so, you know, bringing that stuff in awareness that not everything that looks maybe crappy right now is really crappy on the longer run. It may also be a kind of a blessing that that thing happened to you. And so, you know, you cannot always see the world as black and white. It's gray. It's gray. It's so gray. You know, I used to really believe that that the world is black and gray, black and white, and I had rules. You know what I mean? Rules to actually keep me safe, right? To keep me protected and to keep me kind of stable. And you know, I needed that when I was very young. I needed some kind of structure that would keep me safe because there hasn't been this safety net in my home, and so I created it myself. The problem is when you're getting an adult, it's not really helpful anymore, you see? And then you're most often actually standing in your own way, and you have to kind of like get out of it, you know? And then you have a new skin on, and it feels so ugh, and you don't want to move the way you used to, but also the new way kind of feels not really good, right? Because you're like, I really don't know how to navigate now. Like the old way, at least I knew what I'm into. And now I'm in this new thing and I have no idea. But listen, that's the great pleasure we actually have in this life, right? To explore, to experience, and to really get into the place where we can create, right? Where we can explore. So stop looking after the old. Start to look into what do I really, really want to do going further. And this is actually not really about 2022, 2023, right? It could be any time you're watching this video. But it gives you such a good push. But most people actually then don't follow through because it's not easy to change. It's not easy to make a shift, especially if you start to work on yourself. There are many fallbacks. Many times you may experience something very hard and you have no idea how to go next. And listen, that's okay. Give yourself the approval. It's okay if you have no clue what you're doing. It's actually really, really helpful if you start acknowledging that most adults have no idea what they're doing. You see, when you grow up as a child, you think, or I thought, that adults have a clue. You know, when you're 30, 40, 50, you know what you're doing. Well, I can tell now people have no idea. They have no clue what they're doing, and they also don't know what are their goals. They're saying something, then they're acting differently. They are not aware of their emotions. And at one point they end in a chaos. So if you don't want to end in a chaos, because, you know, living in tradition, starting doing all of that, then you're unhappy with maybe the job you choose. And now you're like, okay, well, I cannot change anymore. I tell you, yes, you can. The question is, are you ready to pay for that price, right? Are you ready and willing to pay for what it takes you to get there? And I don't mean cash. I mean, it will change a lot inside of you when you start to go in the direction of who you truly are, right? When you start to make different decisions, when you start to ground yourself more, when you start to feel into yourself and say more often no, because you don't like the way how you used to be. You have to also change the whole surroundings, but first you have to change inside of you. You have to understand that things are not in the outer world. It's not their problem if you have a problem. It's yours. It's on you to take ownership of what is happening here. And see, there are so many people who seem to be happy, who seem to have a good day, or many good days. And as soon as they close the door, they're unhappy. And we all know that. But you know what? This could be your neighbor next door. The one you actually think is super, super happy, or needs to be super, super happy because, lives all the traditions that are said as this needs to be, or this person needs to show up happy. And they're not. And you don't even know because, you have your assumption. So stop that. Stop the stories. Stop the things you create about other people. Stop gossiping. Stop looking at people and thinking you know their story. You have no idea, I tell you. You don't know. And the greatest thing ever is you don't need to bug yourself with all that stuff. You need to make sure that here, everything here is great. You need to ensure that you are doing good. You are the most important thing that you can work on, because everything else is not you, and you don't have ownership. You don't, right? So all I'm asking you is to celebrate. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate where you are. Even if you are at the place right now you don't want to be at all. Celebrate anyways. Celebrate if you're alone. Celebrate if you're with a lot of people. Celebrate your pure existence just because, right? See, you don't need a reason really why you're allowed to celebrate. You celebrate because you came really far. And sometimes that's really hard to acknowledge because we have an idea, a story where we should be already. And we are maybe not. Maybe we are not there at all. Not even close. You see? Not even close. But then, so what, right? I mean, maybe life takes you another direction. You know how many times I actually thought that now I got it. The thing is, every single time that happened, I had no idea what's next. I just tried to comfort me. I tried to comfort me when I thought I knew. And now I'm getting used to that I don't know. And that's also what I'm actually saying to my clients. Listen, you don't need to have so many plans. What you really need is a plan in which direction you want to go. The direction. How do you want to feel? Play with your emotions. Because listen, your emotions, they're a fool for you. They show you everything. They show you what you have to work on. They show you what is still open. They show you what is exciting you, what makes you want to expand, to explore, to love. All of that, right? All of that. It's the whole spectrum of life is inside of you. No one can give that to you. You can share this with someone else, but that person will only share the highest of the highest if they are working on themselves too. And so, I learned, or I saw that many people, when I started this work, they were looking at me like, yeah, maybe we don't see each other that often anymore. And I was like, that's okay, that's cool. And now years later, they're like, something must work out for you. Something must work for you. And I'm like, yeah, it's actually what I've told you a couple of years ago. And I'm still doing it, I'm still practicing it, and I'm way happier than I've ever been, even though I'm going through hardships, even though sometimes it's not easy. So what? I'm doing it anyways, right? I'm practicing anyways. I'm doing this not because I want to show off. I'm not doing this to show people, hey, look at me. I'm really doing it because I know what suffering really means. And I know that I'm not here to suffer all my life. I don't want to do that. You see, I don't want to do that. And so, if you can acknowledge that you don't want to suffer the rest of your life, you might as well try to do something completely outside of what you feel comfortable, right? But today, we celebrate. I celebrate you. I celebrate that you're here with me. I celebrate that you have gone this far. I celebrate that you are trying your very best. I celebrate that you learn to love yourself more and more and more every single day. I celebrate that you trust yourself more. I celebrate that you are learning to create what really, really, really makes you want to expand in relationships, in any partnership, right? In your home, maybe. I celebrate you. Now, the question is, do you celebrate yourself? I see you very, very soon. And thank you so much for being here. And yeah, Happy New Year 2023.